wrong. And once I looked into it, I could see that this wasn't. I wasn't the only one who felt this way. So I felt something needed to be done, and this is how campaigns come about. That I suppose that's the origin of the term activist. I was activated through my own experiences, and from that day forward, I was just always looking to just right the wrong that I experienced, and for it to not befall other people as well in our society.
I was reading a recent Eurobarometer survey that showed that Ireland has the highest rate of cannabis users in the European Union. 17% of Irish people have used products containing cannabis in the last 12 months. Obviously, to you, that shows clearly how we need to decriminalise or even legalise the use of a drug that 17% of Irish people are consuming.
Yeah, the cannabis is ubiquitous across Ireland already. It's we need to change the way in which it's presented to Irish consumers right now. If you were to go and get alcohol on the black market, how can you be assured that it's 40% vodka or 37.5% vodka, and not some methylated spirits or some other dangerous substance? The risks posed to the consumers are far graver because of the prohibition. And the prohibition has not prevented access, so that it really needs to go. If we're talking about a health-led approach, then prohibition has no place in the market. How is it a health-led approach to leave consumers acquire their substances from an unregulated source? That just makes no sense.
Okay, you're having an event on Saturday called Picnic in the Park for Cannabis Reform. Yeah. It's on from 2 until 6.
Right.
We've seen over the last 24 hours how we're allowed to have an outdoor event with 200 people. Will there be just 200 people there?
We will be controlling the crowd. We will be taking note of how many people come, and once we reach the occupancy of the green area that we'll be holding the demonstration in, we have another green area nearby as an overflow green for people to go into. So we will have people there maintaining social distancing and following the health and safety guidelines. But
okay,
again,
the one thing that interests me about this picnic in the park is that it is a picnic in the park where you're asking people to bring their own cannabis. Yeah. No selling, it says on your poster, but you're actively encouraging people to break the law.
Yeah, that's the protest. It's a civil disobedience protest. Just to highlight that the law is not respectful of our human rights, so therefore we should not be respectful of this law. By respecting the law, we're consenting to it. I do not consent to this law. This law is a violation of my rights, and it is endangering the society in which my kids are coming up in today. And I want to see that change.
Okay, but by actively encouraging people to break the law and bring joints with them and smoke a few spliffs on Saturday afternoon, are you not risking some of the people who come along to your picnic in the park being arrested?
The risks caused by my protest are far less than the risks caused by prohibition. The object of
that wasn't the question that I asked. The question that I asked was...
I'm acknowledging that there is a risk in breaking the law, certainly, but the risks caused by having a prohibition are far greater. So again, like you two wrongs there, but the cause in getting people to break the law is to highlight that it is not reflective of what the public wants.
Okay, let me read a couple of messages to you, if I may. I would be concerned about passive smoking if cannabis was legalised. I don't want to smoke someone else's joint, says Stephen in Dublin. And then another message just simply says, 17% of Irish people use cannabis. Why is this even a subject? It's a tiny minority of people. What would you say to that?
17% is far from a minority of people.
Well, it is a minority.
Well, if we were to say something around like that about the gay community, sure, there's only 17% of people in our community are gay. Sure, it doesn't matter about them. We disregard them. Is that okay?
No, that's a fair point. Okay, let me go to Dr. Chris Luke, who is a consultant in emergency medicine in Cork. Chris, is it good for us to be having these types of conversations about legalising cannabis for both medicinal use and recreational use?
Yes, it's very important, Adrian. I mean, we need to have, I think, a debate where we can disagree without being disagreeable. So if I might say, I'm not a prohibitionist, and what I say when I periodically utter stuff about this kind of thing is that it's not propaganda. It's just based on my lived experience over nearly 4 decades in the healthcare front line, in inner city hospitals from St James's to Liverpool to Edinburgh and Cork. So I've been working in emergency medicine for nearly 40 years, and I've seen a great deal of the harm that people do to themselves and to others through the consumption of various intoxicants, including obviously cannabis. And I'm very much au fait with the medical science. So I suppose my main issue is that there's constant clamour for an honest and open debate, which I'm all in favour of. But the difficulty is that the medical science is routinely disregarded. No matter what medical science or research reveals about cannabis and its hazards, which are pretty obvious, I would have thought by this stage, it's impossible to get them acknowledged. So, look, my basic position is that, clearly smoking cannabis is very pleasant for some people. It's very pleasurable for a few, and unfortunately it can lead to a devastating addiction for a small number of people, probably 10% at most. And as we've heard quite a lot in the last year or two, there is a vast amount of cannabis-related medical harm now bubbling up in the mental health sector in Ireland. And as for this sort of utopian talk about diverting profits to the health service, mental health care in Ireland is the Cinderella of a struggling health service. And adolescent health care, where you see most of the cannabis-related problems, is the Cinderella of the Cinderella. So, I mean, I've heard this for decades. And I can talk about the medical science, the public health science, and so forth from North America. Because, again, I'm tracking this regularly, and as we predicted, following the legislation, the legalization, decriminalization of cannabis throughout Canada and many states in North America, there have been the predicted surges in number of attendances in emergency departments throughout Colorado and Canada and so forth, with accidental ingestion of edible cannabis products by children, a surge in the number of cannabis-related psychosis and dependence cases, not to mention all the other sundry things where the relationship between cannabis consumption and perhaps violence and trauma hasn't always been spotted. So, the problem is that the medical science, and you've got to talk about medicalizing, not criminalizing cannabis, the problem is you have to put the medical science on the table. And the medical science consistently says that we have a problem with cannabis. And not only that, Adrian, the real problem is that the medical science says that the randomized control trials, or the most strict of Western medical research, suggests that the benefits of cannabis are pretty limited, if you want to prove them, that is, and they're limited to the rare cases of epilepsy in childhood that we know about. Now, I mean, I do not dispute that as a folk remedy, cannabis is hugely popular, and many people take it for their aches, their pains, their mental, physical and spiritual ailments, and I don't dispute that. And look, we all have friends who say that, a few spliffs does my back or my head or my whatever a pair of goods. I don't dispute that. But, if we're going to have an honest debate, let's put the medical science as it continuously unfolds on the table.
Okay, now, I mentioned a statistic showing that 17% of Irish people are consuming cannabis, have consumed cannabis products within the last 12 months. That's a very sizable proportion of the population. But that population is being diverted to the criminal underworld in order to consume that product. And this is where Martin argues that risk, that danger of associating with the criminal underworld to consume cannabis far outweighs the risks of legalizing the cannabis products. What would you say to that? That we need to take this particular product away from the criminal underworld?
Yeah, I'm not persuaded of that. I mean, first of all, here's the thing. in Canada, recent literature suggested that even in the states or the provinces where cannabis had been legalized, that chronic long-term users prefer to get their weed from their grow-your-own skunk or the street dealers because they just didn't like the pharmaceutically prepared version of the cannabis. So that's just at the get-go. Another thing is that for most of my practicing life as a medic, big tobacco has been probably adversary number one, because of all the drugs that we use, and of course humans love to take drugs, they love to self-medicate, whether it's natural products or artificial products. So that's just part of the human condition. But the biggest killer at the moment in hospitals, of course, is tobacco, and it's a rule of thumb is that 1 in 2 of the users will die from a tobacco-related disease. And of course, what's happening at the moment is that big tobacco is becoming big cannabis. I mean, big tobacco is morphing slowly into an industry which sells a pseudo-scientific vehicles, vectors for nicotine. We call them vaping devices. And they're also buying up vast amounts of cannabis plantations throughout the States and cannabis. And of course, another feature, for those of us who are concerned about climate change, it turns out that these vast cannabis plantations are disastrous for local environments because of the amount of water they divert and the pollution downstream and so on and so forth.
All right. Let me just bring Martin back in for 1 second. Martin, what Dr. Chris Luke is saying essentially is we cannot ignore the medicine that shows the medical harm that these products can cause.
Yeah, I'm not going to dispute the fact that cannabis can be harmful towards, and as Chris pointed out, a lot of the times about 10% of the population can display some problems because of cannabis. But I will always argue that under a regulated model, we would be much better equipped to help these people and reduce that number greatly by educating the consumers about what they're consuming. Currently, when you buy cannabis off the black market, you have no idea the strength that cannabis is, and there's no age limit either. By tackling both of these things through regulation, we can greatly reduce the harms and educate consumers. We've got genetic testing now available over in the US, where people can find out how their body, through their genetics, is going to respond to the cannabis. And off of that, then they could be recommended different ratios of cannabinoids from the plant in order to achieve a better outcome for that person.
Oh. Sorry, we lost him there. All right, I'd like to hear from you. 1890 453 106 is our phone number. You can text us 53106. We've been hearing about Picnic in the Park for Cannabis Reform, a protest being held in Cork on Saturday afternoon. We'll take some more of your calls straight after the break.
Lunchtime Live on Newstalk.
With Avant Money. Think you're getting the best loan rate from your bank? Think again. Avantcard DAC trading as Avant Money is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Newstalk already gives you your daily fix of news and entertainment. But wouldn't you like a little bit more? Newstalk Extra is everything you might have missed, plus expert tips, podcasts and competitions, all straight to your inbox. Subscribe now at newstalk.com/extra.
The famous Holland & Barrett 1 cent sale is back, with buy one get one for just 1 cent. On hundreds of everyday favourites, and you can even mix and match. Shop safely in-store or at hollandandbarrett.ie. Ends 24th of August 2021. Selected items. Cheapest item 1 cent, subject to availability.
Tonight is your online date. Will the profile picture be true? You need to get dressed up. Get dressed up. Laundry so clean, soft and fresh. Now your clothes look at their best. Bold. Always believe love may grow. Or pretend that you gotta go. You are bold.
Try Bold all-in-one pods for a brilliant clean with built-in softener. Always keep away from children.
Right now, it's good to keep our distance, and we all want to get back to nature. The trouble is, the popular spots are, well, popular. But as we crisscross the country, the answer could be right under our noses. Ireland's inland waterways. From Enniskillen to Killaloe and Coleraine to Carlow. There's fishing, boating, cycling, walking and a whole lot more. Waterways Ireland. Over 1,000.
Alright guys, what's happening out there? Hope you're all well. I got cut off there. I don't know what the hell happened. But they didn't actually disconnect me. I was still on the line. Strange enough, I don't know what actually happened. The guy came on the phone. He was like, "Oh yeah, Martin, your line seemed to drop there. But thanks very much for taking the call." And I'm just kind of like, "Well, what do you mean? Like, can I not continue?" But then he was just like, no, that's it there now. So I'm just waiting to see what the crack is, if they're going to continue with the conversation over there. I'll see if I can pop it back up on the thing there again, but I'll just keep it down low in the background if I can.
1,000 kilometres of unexplored outdoors. Discover what you can do at waterwaysireland.org.
A beautiful bouquet of flowers. It can say more than words ever could. To celebrate, congratulate, or just let someone know you're thinking of them. Flowers.ie know every bouquet is special, so every
Sorted. Yeah, I have the sound mixer there now. I can check.
And delivered with love across Ireland. They even send a video before it's delivered.
But yeah, interesting conversation. Dr. Chris Luke coming on there in the end. I'm definitely familiar with Dr. Chris Luke. He's positioned above in the CUH, but you have to think of Dr. Chris Luke and his position, his perspective. He's in a position where he'll only ever see the harms caused by drugs. The people coming to him in the hospital, they're not going to be people coming in saying, "Oh, look, cannabis is great for me. Oh, it's working. It's wonderful." No, it's people who've got problems because of it will end up in hospital, and therefore they'll be giving this perspective to Chris Luke. That drugs are bad, they cause nothing but problems for people. But it was nice to have him acknowledge at least, like, that it's as little as 10% of people can display these problems. I would argue that's probably a little bit high, but look, let's say that 90% of people use cannabis and it's no problem for them. That says a lot about cannabis, really, because I would imagine the number of people who use alcohol and it causes problems for them is a lot higher. When we look at alcohol-related deaths and the likes, if you were to look at cannabis and you were to just look at consuming cannabis, not even smoking it, so let's say vaping it or consuming it in edible form or something along those lines, that would probably that would be so much better for the amount of attributable deaths to cannabis then at that point would be negligible, zero, I would say. Would you not think? I would definitely say smoking cannabis, like if you were smoking cannabis religiously daily for like 30 years, 40 years, that definitely is going to take its toll on the body. And maybe reduce your longevity, reduce that age you're going to live to just a little bit, because it's going to wear and tear on the body. So I'd acknowledge that, but like looking at cigarettes, so he talked about cigarettes there as well and the harms caused by cigarettes. Cannabis actually is a greater alternative to cigarettes. Cigarettes, they use fucking crazy chemicals and all of this stuff inside in cigarettes just to keep them burning, to keep them tasting good and all of this nasty shit, so it's apples and oranges there between cannabis and cigarettes. Cannabis is far better, but again, you don't even have to smoke it. It was them who implied people were going to come to the picnic and smoke cannabis. I didn't even get to make the point to that. Look, this is actually a bring your own cannabis event. We're not saying smoke your own cannabis. This is consuming cannabis. There's going to be patients maybe come down with their tinctures. There might be patients come with edibles. And then there's going to be normal consumers as well who consume not from medical necessity, but just because they enjoy it on the day. And I wanted to get into him around the whole fucking recreational argument then as well, because recreational cannabis use, it's very derogatory in itself. What's this recreational? It's just like, is this recreational coffee drinking right now, Like, is that recreational? I don't see how that drug use is not recreational, and this other drug use then, this herb, is recreational. That makes no sense. Like, why are we discriminating against the drugs in this way? Coffee beans, they come from a plant, just like cannabis buds, Let's see if they're talking about it over there again.
Realising any of it at all. Claire is on the line.
They're back
Claire,
over there.
Should we be having that conversation about legalising drugs like cannabis?
Hi, Adrian.
Hi.
Well, look, we tried to do it a few years ago in relation to a public survey for all drugs that went out into the public for a few months, and it was in one way, it was very mismanaged, because what it was doing was it was trying to look at decriminalisation, and it was looking at the drug and not the person. And I think everyone on this she's had on the show so far will agree that prohibition doesn't work, or the way that we do it in most Western countries doesn't work. But legalising it is a bit of a step too far in this country, with the way young people at the moment are experiencing weed use in particular.
Decriminalise the drug user.
I mentioned already that, people choosing to use cannabis, the only way they can actually source their cannabis is through the criminal underworld. They make an awful lot of money out of it. They are, if you like, a gateway to other drugs, because, people who are dealing cannabis are probably dealing in cocaine and other sorts of drugs as well. You think it's time that we took that supply of at least that particular drug, being cannabis, away from the criminal underworld?
I don't know if it would work. I feel that the young people who I work with in an addiction kind of treatment centre, I'm nearly certain of it, they wouldn't necessarily float towards what the chemist is going to have or what the government is going to prescribe, because what they are getting now isn't legitimate cannabis. It is being sprayed, the THC content. Like what we're talking about legalising is the cannabis of the 60s, the cannabis where THC, and I'm not trying to be really scientific, but this is the main change of it. THC was at a 2% maximum. Now it's gone to 10%, from the 90s into the early 2000s, and now you're at up to 25%, 2%. And some of it's not even the cannabis that we recognise.
Okay, so you're arguing then, if it were to be legalised in some way, the product that would be legalised is not what people are looking for?
It wouldn't be what we were looking for as such, because the young people maybe it might be people in their 30s, 40s and 50s who would recognise it as a much of a kind of a calmer and less intoxicating effect of weed might attract them. But even if you look at places in Canada, there are still the black market still exists very strongly. They've taken a bit of the profits away, but if you were to talk to regular cannabis users, they don't just go to the legal spaces. They don't just go to...
Okay, so in other words, even legalising it would not take it away from criminality, because they would just sell stronger, harder versions of the product. Yeah.
And also as well, something to be mindful of is, and this isn't a dig at any particular business owners who are listening thinking I'm taking a dig at a different sector, but you have to wonder who's going to take on a business of legal cannabis, because that could be a front for other things. So we have to be mindful of who gets that license. And if it is going to be stuff that we're growing at home, we have hybrids now. There used to just be 2 strands of cannabis. Hybrids are essentially ruining people's high. Basically, they're making them far too strong. The the psychotic active ingredient in it is what's sending people to A&E. And if your mate has a bit of a stronger whatever plant they're growing, and their parents are allowing them to do it because it's legal, then you've got a whole community or a whole section of friends or whatever who are just going to go straight to that friend. And it might be allowed to grow 4 plants per person, it might be per household or whatever, but that's not going to stay that way. That's not going to stay for very long. It's too profitable. It's too if people are going to sell it, if people are going to buy it, they're going to do it regardless of whether or not you can get it in the shop.
All right, stay there for 1 second, Claire, if you can, please.
I love hearing all these.
1890 453 106 is our phone.
I love hearing some of that nonsense there, that the cannabis used to be 2% back in the 60s. Like, where do they pull these statistics from?
Thank you. Bernard, should we be having the...
Here's Bernard. What's Bernard got to say?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's about time we
go on, Bernard.
An adult
yes.
conversation about it, because people are using it regardless. And when you say that people can't have legal access to cannabis, what you're saying is they can't have safe access to cannabis. Yeah. If you legalise it, you're able to have tighter controls over the concentrations of THC, CBD, or other cannabinoid.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that word.
Yeah. And basically there'll be standards that people have to adhere to. At the moment, it's a free-for-all. And what you're doing is you're saying, we will leave this to the cartels. We'll leave this to people whoever wants to grow it and sell it, to decide what people get. So there's no control, and people will buy it regardless. So
okay, but one of the arguments against legalising it is that if we were to start dispensing it through whatever, whether it be a coffee shop or whatever, that the criminal underworld will still continue to sell products that you can't get in the shop or the cafes or whatever. They'll bring out stronger drugs, and in fact, somebody just texted me in to say that the black market in Canada thrives still, because the unit price in the legal dispensaries is priced very high. So all the criminals will do is just come and sell it cheaper.
Absolutely. But at the same time, if I had the choice to go to a proper dispensary, even if it was regarding alcohol, if I have the chance to go to an off licence now and choose whatever drink I want and I know exactly what's in it, or go to a black market where it's probably cheaper, but the quality might be completely different, and I'm obviously going to choose the safer option. So I think you have to give people the choice. At the moment, they don't have the choice. It's, here you go, this is what you're getting, take it or leave it. They don't know what's in it. They don't know the concentration of anything. But at least give them the choice to be safe.
Okay, stay there for a second, Bernard. Let me bring in Katie, who's on the line from Cork. Katie, we were talking about a protest taking place at Mardyke Skate Park on Saturday. Is that something you'd go to?
No, absolutely not, because I find, look, civil disobedience, I think it's quite disrespectful for people who truly need cannabis or are trying to access cannabinoids through novel therapies. There's children in this country with epilepsy, movement disorders, who their quality of life has been improved tenfold through these novel therapies.
Yes.
And families like ours are not going to attend a protest to smoke a joint.
Now, in fairness to Martin, that we were talking to earlier on, he also very strongly advocates the complete legalisation of cannabis for medicinal use.
Yeah, he does. But if you're going to, if you're going to show respect to people who need to use a substance like marijuana for medical
Cannabis.
use, there's a more, tasteful way to do so without encouraging people to come
Okay,
to
so
the park
this idea of come to the park, bring your own cannabis. It's just
belittling.
you think it's a disrespect?
She's the one who's saying smoke a joint, guys. I'm not saying smoke a joint.
He's completely undoing the incredible.
She's bringing the stigma with her.
Families throughout this country to take away the stigma.
Mind you, I have to say to you, Katie,
marijuana.
the fact that this protest is happening on Saturday, we're talking about it this afternoon on national radio.
Yes.
Yeah, you are, but you're talking about it on national radio, saying that people should come to the park. There's somebody.
No, I didn't say anybody should come to the park. I didn't encourage anybody to go.
I'm talking that Martin is saying that people should come to this protest, should bring the drugs that he's,
You're calling it a drug, lady. I'm calling it cannabis.
Organised crime, but he's actively encouraging people to come and to smoke that in a gathering, a mass gathering,
not saying
to decriminalise it. Like, where is the logic there?
This is cannabis honey. Bring some cannabis honey with you.
We truly need this for pain management, to manage epilepsy and severe movement disorders. He's cheapening it completely. He's likening it. Sorry, but another thing, as he said himself, gay people, he's likening a marginalised community to not being able to smoke a joint.
Well, his comparison was a minority community. That's what his comparison was.
Yeah,
Bernard, can I go back to you for 1 second? What do you think of this this protest? Already took place in the Phoenix Park, by the way, 1,000 people at that, where he's encouraging people to bring their own cannabis, no selling. Is it not a cheap publicity stunt that cheapens the campaign for legalising this drug?
No, I don't think so, because
Go on,
you can't
Bernard.
say, somebody else's medical use is unfair or wrong.
Mr.
People
Hoyes, I would
use
love
it
a
for their
lasagna.
own reasons. I can't say why somebody would use it. They couldn't say why another person would use it. At the same time, use is use. Whatever you're using it for, that's your own personal choice, and that's what it has to come down to. It doesn't cheapen it. What it's saying is...
But if you're using it for medical reasons, you're not smoking a joint. You're being given it in a controlled way. You're not turning
That's what I'm calling for,
a
Katie.
Joint and smoking that.
Mind you, I would argue with you, Katie, that there are some people who do smoke it for the ease of pain and stuff like that. I know people personally who do.
So do I. I'm saying that. But what I'm saying is that in this country, there's people who are working so hard to destigmatise it, to get us access to the cannabis oils for our children. And it's an oil. And some people choose to smoke it. You're not going to be able to give people or children or people who are tube fed. You can't get them to smoke
No, of course, yes.
And I find it
okay, and the whole bring your own cannabis thing just cheapens
I find
this.
it very interesting that the person who's being spoken to most harshly is me. When you've got people there talking about, just
harshly spoken to now.
It's been very tough on me as a young one. I got in trouble for smoking a joint. I'm trying to access this for my child. And you're
nobody's valuing that.
And in fairness, like I said to you, Katie, Martin earlier on did very strongly come out in favour of...
I heard Martin, and I disagree completely with his cheapening of a very worthy campaign. And what I'm saying is that there's fantastic advocates out there. There's fantastic people who are doing good work to get this for people who need it. But I think there's a stark difference in people like Martin, who just feels a little bit hard done by, than people who need it for medical reasons. And if he truly cared about people accessing it predominantly for these reasons, it would be done with respect, it would be done in a considered manner, and it wouldn't be cheapened to people turning up at a skate park to smoke joints. And you're saying to me, I'm telling you, because I'm one of the people who are trying to access it. So hanging out at a skate park to get medicinal use for a drug that can help improve the quality of people's lives.
Can I ask you, Katie, have you ever discussed this? Unfortunately, he's not still on the line, but have you ever discussed this with Martin? I'm sure you're aware of Martin. He's been campaigning for this for many years in Cork. Have you ever discussed the way in which he's mounting these protests?
No, absolutely not, because I would rather focus on people who are doing, like I said, stellar work to help others. This is just a publicity stunt by Martin, who, in my opinion, from what I heard, he just throws in, medical marijuana, that's a great thing. Of course, we're thinking of people who need this for chronic pain or epilepsy, but it's cheap. It's cheapened. If he cared about that as one of the higher. Obviously people who want to smoke for recreation, go ahead, that's no problem. But to cheapen something as serious as improving the quality of people's lives in this country, smoke a joint to the skate park, terribly upset about, not being allowed to have a joint, encouraging civil disobedience.
Okay, so it's really what you're highlighting is there are two completely different campaigns here, and they should be looked at completely separately. And I take that point, and I did make that point at the start of the conversation as well, Katie. Thank you very much indeed for your call, and thank you all of you for your calls. You're listening to Lunchtime Live. This is Adrian Kennedy. We're with you until 2 o'clock. On the way after the break, we have our know-it-all expert.
Well, that's hilarious. I'll just leave that up for a couple of seconds longer. But an individual who breaks a law that conscience tells him is unjust and who willingly accepts the penalty of imprisonment in order to arouse the consciousness of the community over its injustice is in reality expressing the highest respect for the law. That is what my civil disobedience, this is what it's born out of. It's out of respect for the law, because I believe that the law is disrespecting us, and the only way we're going to get it changed is by just highlighting this. We've tried, as I said, Luke Flanagan, I've been there, I've been campaigning for over 13 years. I've done so respectfully for a long time. And now it's the case where civil disobedience is the final tool in the toolbox for us as campaigners to engage with. This is an incredibly respectful protest. I don't believe that Katie's views are echoed by other patients out there, campaigners. Alicia Maher wholeheartedly supports the campaign. She's another cannabis patient included in the hashtag here on the poster. So yeah, I wonder if Katie's actually even Katie. I wonder if she even used her real name. Maybe that could be somebody who has a grudge against me, possibly. Who knows? Like, you know, but that was funny. Like, she was putting words into my mouth saying that I was telling people to come and smoke cannabis. But if you were listening back, girl, I never once said to people, come and smoke cannabis. I'm being very careful not to say that, because I do have respect for the patients. I do know not all patients can smoke it. Some patients actually have issues with their breathing and stuff like that, so they can't smoke it at all. They ingest it through oils, tinctures. I've an honours degree, lady, and I've given 4 years of my life to better understand medical cannabis in the human body. I couldn't show it any more respect than I already have. I just thought that was so funny to hear that. Like, but look, it's good to hear these things. To be fair, like. I'll keep a smile on my face. Like, I'm not offended by that at all. I'm just defended myself, and that's that. Then, like, you know, need I say that anymore? Yeah, it'd be interesting if they were to call me back, to have me come on and to maybe to give that defense there as I just threw out there to yourselves. But. Yeah, there Patrick Corbin saying Katie sounds like a bloody Pangarda. Well, apparently Katie is out there looking for access to cannabis for her child. So I do sympathise with Katie. At the same time, maybe Katie's just frustrated, and she feels that this is going to set back her campaign now for her to get access. But surely these recent announcements should have sorted Katie out. I would be interested as to the condition Katie's child suffers with. Legend Bhagwan Son there as well, throwing that in, you beast. But I'd be interested as to is her child excluded? Is her child not got one of the 3 conditions? I would be interested, you know. I would love to hear more about Katie's background there, as to, you know, what's driving this frustration now that she seems to come out and vent against me. But look, I'm going to take no offence to it, because, as I say, Katie's frustration could be coming from that kind of a source. And I would love to be more of a solution there, rather than a kind of a seen as a barrier, potential barrier to her child's access. You know, what we're calling for here is the end of cannabis prohibition, to remove the stigma around it because of the criminalisation that currently exists. We remove the criminalisation, we really break down that stigma that's currently there, by bringing it into a more legitimate environment, you know. Katie, it definitely was an interesting character there, alright, for sure. I'd love to, you know, Katie, if you're out there, if you happen to be aware of the show or anything like that, get in touch. Like, if you'd like to continue the conversation, like, you know, if you'd like to maybe throw a few words my way, I'm more than happy to receive them. Like, even if it's offline, if you don't want to do it on the podcast or whatever, like, you know, I'd like to hash this one out, because I'd hate for people to be out there thinking that what I'm doing is detrimental to the cause. Again, like, you know, just to pop it up, like, this is not disrespectful in any way. Civil disobedience, like, if you understand the concept, like, if anything, as Martin Luther King so eloquently puts it, it is expressing the highest respect for the law. Because look, I'm willing to take whatever punishment comes my way. I got them talking. That's a national radio station there again. Like, that's got them talking out there on the airwaves today about the problems caused by prohibition, about the needs for change. So the more people who engage with this, guys, the more we can keep this conversation in the centre of this. Again, I have been talking to Alicia Maher. I've got support there from other patients as well. And I do believe the next campaign of civil disobedience, the next planting of cannabis plants, will be done with in partnership with some of those patients. I look forward to getting that one out there. That'll change the conversation then as well, because it won't be just myself now engaging in the civil disobedience. It will be many patients too. And I think it's about time people really step up now, you know, and again, you know, just take whatever punishment they want to send our way. It can't be any worse than the way in which we're being punished now on cruelly because of prohibition. You know. Yeah, Robert McGrath, one is talking some SH1T. I agree with you there, buddy. Definitely talking out the behind about some of the stuff as I just kind of showed. Muay Thai 23, people who need it medically should be put before recreational, in my opinion. The rest will follow in time. Yeah, I 100% agree with you as well, Muay Thai 23, and I believe the best way that the medical patients will get access is by just eliminating this prohibition that is around cannabis. Prohibition limits the research, it perpetuates the stigma, it allows it to continue longer than it is necessary. If we can remove this, then we eliminate a massive barrier there for access to patients, and not only that, but then also open up a pathway to some great therapeutic products that patients will get much more effective access to than the current way the medical profession want to do it with their fucking 3 conditions. They haven't even included chronic pain. So again, end this prohibition, open up the doorway to patients getting access to local co-ops and stuff like that would grow for their patients, process the cannabis into the different products that are needed, much like that they did in America. Have this grown from the ground up. Feck this fucking top-down BS, because the top-down BS it's not what we need at all. We need it from the ground up. Well, why can't we grow cannabis for our community? Again, as I say, I've got a 4 years honours degree. I would have no problem at all taking a very low wage and working with a non-profit kind of organisation, growing, processing cannabis and distributing it at a very cost-effective way, if not even giving it to patients for free if we could. Because I don't believe in profit from medicine anyway. So yeah, but that's just me. I'm a bit crazy, maybe. I'm crazy in my own way. A good kind of crazy. Story 89 saying, who is she to determine whose medical needs are appropriate? There you go. I've gotten support from so many patients, and there's patients coming to this protest as well, most of the dislike of Katie, but they're going to be there too. Again, respecting the law and civil disobedience. Who's that? Connor S. trying to call in now. This is a joke. Yeah, it would have been interesting to see if they continue that conversation any further.
Serotonin and dopamine and make you feel better. So I think it was from one of those kiddie movies one stage that said, happy people just don't tell their partners. And it was like, that is so true, because serotonin just makes you so happy and kind of releases that great endorphins that you'll feel great and for the whole day long. That's the first primary thing it does. The second thing it also does, it releases growth hormone. Now, for anything on strength training, growth hormone...
Not too sure what they're talking about there at the moment.
The holy grail in terms of anti-aging. And strength training has been proven to do that.
She clearly has no idea about Martin's work. Probably the best advocate we have in this country. Thanks very much for that, Connor. I really appreciate that. Just to be honest, look, I'm just sick and tired of it, to see the pain and suffering caused by the patients out there. Again, I'm willing to take whatever punishment comes my way, because it's not as bad as the pain and suffering caused by prohibition out there right now. So it's just a small sacrifice for me to make, to try to bring change that will ultimately bring so much benefits to the patients out there, that I believe it will anyway.
People find, no, I tried this work and I'm still not noticing a difference in weight. There are a couple of factors at play. Number one,
yeah, not too sure what they're talking about over there anyway, but I think we've given them enough airtime there at the moment. If you want to listen, where that was over on Newstalk, so is that like 107.2 or something like that? Up around that 107 airwaves anyway on the FM if you're here in Ireland. You get it online as well at Newstalk. You just Google it there and you'll find it. They were talking about serotonin and something else there. Not too sure, like maybe they were talking about how like drugs affect the body, and I don't know. But yeah, I've to go get stuck into my college work there now, and a few other bits and pieces, guys. But we see what other comments are coming in out there. Dreamer77 says, I think she was taken back with the response. Yeah, she felt attacked there at the end, didn't she? Because she kept getting questioned about it. Like, and in fairness, like Adrian did come in and say that I was a big advocate for the medical cannabis again. Like, while like this isn't a recreational cannabis protest. This is a protest against cannabis prohibition for 101 bloody reasons. Whether it be medical cannabis access, whether it be recreational, spiritual, we'll call it what you will, industrial, eco-friendly, you want to see cannabis just be grown in fields and hemp houses around Ireland and whatnot. Come down to this protest, because prohibition is a big barrier to all of those things. So don't pigeonhole me. This isn't the recreational cannabis protest. That's them putting that out there. The Katie, it's smoking cannabis. Oh my God, you're just belittling it. Sorry, Katie. Actually, there's people out there that smoke their cannabis for medical reasons. Albeit, it is a harmful route of ingestion. Vaporization maybe being the healthier alternative there. Smoking still is something that people do. Martin's World, fair play to you. Katie has not got a clue. Again, look, I would defend Katie as well a little bit in saying that maybe she's coming from a very frustrated position, and she kind of buys into maybe the whole recreational cannabis. Oh my God, that's jeopardising the medical cannabis. Maybe she buys into that, and she's worried then because of her child. If her child can't get access because of the actions of me. But I'm happy to hash that one out with you, Katie. I'm not your enemy, lady. Conor S, the worst part was she said she would absolutely not want to speak to you about how you conduct your work. Yeah, that's it. You know what I mean? So close-minded then about it. As I said, I'm more than happy to entertain you, Katie, if you want to get in touch. I'm not your enemy, and I think your frustration is coming at me from the wrong position. You should be frustrated with the policymakers who are making you wait so long, who are denying your child access. It's just ridiculous. John, why aren't you on there giving out to Stephen Donnelly? Why wasn't your frustration at Stephen Donnelly? And come down to the protest, join us. Don't spark up. You don't have to. Come down with your banner. Just come down, take part in a raffle, support a great charity. I should have gave that a plug out there as well, that we're doing a raffle there to support the local Cork City Missing Person Search and Recovery, just because we're some great people. We want to help some charities, so that's what we do. I know many people out there in the cannabis community who volunteer their time. The cannabis isn't the end all be all about them, but a lot of the times people who do volunteer their times do tend to be cannabis consumers as well. Not always, but more often than not. Gerard Kelly, Amadon, hypocrite lady on the radio. Good man, Martin. Keep up the great work. Nice one, Gerald Kelly. Appreciate that. Dar Patrick says, if she is an actual person in that predicament of not being able to access for her child, Martin, I'm sure she could make the oils for her child. Or Martin, I'm sure we could make the oils for her child. No, we could. As I say, I have an honours degree there in herbal science. I understand the good agricultural practices, the good collection practices that have to be put in place in order to ensure the high quality of the product, the end product there for the consumer. And certainly we could be putting that in place quite easily for patients like that if we didn't have this prohibition there. I could probably still do it with the prohibition there, but it wouldn't be done to such a high standard then at that stage, but sure. Sasha Cheyenne, the woman, question mark. Yeah, and I just don't understand her either. Yeah. Mark Andrew Morgan, they see one person, but there's thousands behind you. I'm a chronic pain sufferer. There you go, Mark. You're not the only one. Yeah, there's many out there. You say thousands, I don't even think about that at times, But yeah, I certainly would say at this stage now I've got the support of thousands, maybe into even the tens of thousands now, with the coverage that the campaign has got over the last 2 weeks. I definitely would say that the number of supporters, just not even looking at the numbers on the social media and stuff, but just people who've read the article and said, yeah, fair play, I support that guy, I'm down with that. Yeah, funny enough one. What else is out there hype? Sadly, it sounds like she'd cut off her nose to spite her face. Jared Kelly, Martin, keeping the medical needs always. Your plants have tags saying exactly that. So that lady Katie is incorrect. Point proven, point proven. Maybe she's just not up to date with all I've done. Maybe she's just a listener of Newstalk, and that's the first time she's after coming across the case of Martin. So, again, like I'll hold no ill feelings there towards Katie. I'm just trying to share a photo there with myself, the 2-page spread that we got over on the Sunday Mirror the other day. And I might pop it up on screen for you there in a second. Dalgan is Adam done. What's going on? Keep it going, Martin. Nice one, Dalgan. Daglon, actually. Sorry, I see the photo over the A there now. Daglon. Donna want a cracker. What's going on, Donna? Heartbreaking listening to that interview. Does she not realise the government don't want to give it to us? That's the problem, as I say. Luke McFlanagan had provisions in his bill back in 2013 for medical cannabis. They could have dropped the whole adult access and just went ahead with the medical access back then. There was enough evidence there supporting it. There was enough need and desire for it then as well. And imagine where we would have been if we implemented a medical cannabis access program back in 2013 rather than, no, today in 2021, or probably not even until 2022 maybe, by the time it actually gets up and running. See how that lost time because of the inaction, the ignorance there, the willful ignorance of the politicians before. Was it Luke McFlanagan on that interview with, the kind of the session they did there one evening with Gino Kenny. He said it himself when they voted against his bill. They didn't even read his bill before they voted on it. He could tell when they were debating the bill out that the people hadn't actually even read it because of the questions that they were actually asking, So shame on them, like. A Fine Gael TD lobbied our government in the last few weeks to get cigarette papers and filters taken out of tobacco packs for feck's sake. They're being lobbied hard for big tobacco. That's us. And Casa de Strugus updating on that there, Donna, saying, correct, people and patients need to work together to get access for all. Yeah, definitely. We certainly do need to be getting together and campaigning, because big tobacco are definitely actively lobbying the government here at the moment. There's big money there behind keeping cannabis in this kind of era of prohibition, where me and you cannot grow this plant ourselves, where the barriers to access are so high that they keep the costs incredibly high to keep this black market in existence, such as they done over in Canada. They really dropped the ball in Canada initially, where the costs in order to get up and running in business were so high, but that it kept the cost of the cannabis then up very high. Therefore, the black market was able to undermine the recreational market. And even that, like the black market actually in technical terms is just a grey market over there, because I interviewed Dane Larson on the podcast, and he's one of the people over there who are actually running a cannabis cafe that's operating under this kind of grey area, this black market, if you will. And he also has some coca leaf tea and everything inside there as well. Like he's a legend. Check out that interview if you haven't already seen it. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to pop this up on screen there now. Boom, there we go. Yes, I can open it actually through Telegram on this. The boys over in the chat group, just going to go through the media. Won't give none of your pictures a name as well. Where's that one going now? There we go. Excellent stuff. Boom, there it is. That was the 2-page spread that we got there over on, was it the Sunday World, I believe it was. It was a very good write-up, like again, like two pages covered with the coverage of the campaign. Like, so the campaign is successful. Like, it's getting people talking, it's getting the attention of the media. Like, so it's achieving its objective. So we'll continue with it, and I hope more people will get involved in it. Saturday is just one opportunity, but let's continue this. Let's make it a weekly, if not a daily affair. Let's have these gatherings. Let's make it easy for the Gardaí. Let's have them at the entrance of the guard stations. Maybe next time we all just gather at 4:20 for a half an hour. Every week or something like that, just to highlight the failure of the prohibition. Even do it on a daily basis or something. Set up an information table outside of the Garda station and have a little cannabis plant on display there for the hour or something. Might be one idea. And there's lots of different approaches we can take with this, but we won't be giving up yet. Anyway, we'll continue this campaign. Excellent. See, Dahi, what's going on, Dahi? Hope you're well. Says, see you there. Nice one, Dahi. Look forward to it. WRT Gunner says, hopefully there will be some people attending Saturday who otherwise wouldn't have known about it. Exactly. That's it. This protest has gotten some great coverage over the last 2 weeks, so definitely we should see some good numbers down there on the day, some good support for the campaign. Many people want to see cannabis legalized in this country, so 200 people, maybe we might actually end up getting more. I see Casa de Stroga saying that, do you really believe there'll only be 200 people on Saturday? I kind of have to say that, I suppose, really, we'll only have 200 because, look, whatever. But it is a protest. Like, I have to remind them of that. Like, so the number of people that attend, look, the current guidelines we're pretty much exempt from them because they can't limit or protest. But that's unconstitutional. We're getting into some dodgy grounds there then if they do that, but we will do our best on the day to adhere to the health and safety guidelines, and we do have an overflow green down there for people to go and occupy to enjoy the festivities of the day. So yeah, look forward to it. We'll have the Tidy Bud squad down there as well to make sure that there's no mess left behind after us. We'll don our yellow jackets and we'll go around and we'll be cleaning up. Hopefully it'll be a very good day. Fingers crossed that weather prediction is going to change. What is the weather prediction at the moment actually for Cork on Saturday? Saturday looks like a wet one. It says here precipitation between 2 and 3. We've got into the 40 and kind of 25% chance of precipitation, but yeah, it says it's showers for the day on Saturday. So fingers crossed, guys, that we maybe don't get too heavy of showers and that they're just little drizzles. And don't be deterred. Just come prepared. As I say, bring your umbrellas, bring your waterproof joints. Bring your edibles and all of that stuff. Be pre-rolls if you're a smoker, and if you are going to be smoking, just come pre-rolls. That's definitely some solid advice anyway. Like, definitely don't be coming down there looking to roll up down there in case it is a bit showery. That might be a bit annoying. Connor S. would love to know where they got that 17% of people consume cannabis in Ireland figure, vastly underreported due to the stigma. Exactly. I was going to get into that one. There were so many angles to go on that, but I thought just again, just to kind of say 17% is still not a small number of people. That's a large proportion of our society, and certainly it is an underestimated number because of the environment in which these surveys were carried out. I do believe that one was coming from the what's it called, the Europol, is that what it's called? I can't remember what they're called, that European survey anyway. That I believe that's where the 17% was coming from. I believe Ireland was up amongst the highest in Europe for consumers of cannabis. So we are certainly a lover of the green here in Ireland. But yeah, definitely I would reckon if there was less stigma there around it, that people would be more forthcoming with their admittings then that they consume cannabis, maybe whether it be weekly, daily, monthly, whatever it is. They would be more forthcoming with that then, and that number would probably be a little bit higher. A little pun intended there, maybe. Dreamer77, how can people help your campaign and listeners from around the world? just engage again from even around the world. If there is prohibition existing in your own area, then just have a look at the laws, the punishments around there. Ask yourself, are you willing to receive that? And if so, then maybe engage in your own campaigns of civil disobedience over there. It's a peaceful form of protest. Certainly we should be united in this around the world. I've had on Albertillo, a campaigner in Spain. And again, Spain there was recently in the media because of the changing of the bylaw there because of the ruling in the court. But Albertillo, even with that bylaw in existence, he was brought to, he's facing, was it 5 years, I believe he got in prison for growing cannabis plants in Spain as part of a collective over there where they were growing it for patients. I believe he said about 20% of their members were patients. So yeah, like say Albertillo, that this isn't just a national issue. This is certainly a global issue. It was one that was brought on. We had this war on drugs that was brought about around the world. That was a global issue, and it's still in existence today. We see the harms of it right around the world. Albertillo being one of them. You still even have over in places like Malaysia and stuff where they kill people. Absolutely ridiculous that this still goes on today. Just because somebody wants to use a bit of cannabis or help engage in the industry, why are we banning this? Why are we killing people, locking people up, taking away their freedoms for it? It's just ridiculous. So yeah, certainly around the world, guys, ask yourselves, educate yourselves first about the law, and your prison systems. That's an important one too. The prison system in Ireland it's kind of like maybe a 2 or a 3-star hotel. A 3-star hotel, I would say. I wouldn't say a 2-star. It's got a gym and stuff. It's lacking the swimming pool. That they've got to get up in that one maybe. We'll start the campaign while I'm on the inside for a swimming pool for the boys in prison. Conjugal visits as well are a bit of a problem. That would be nice to have them included as well, but sure, what can you do? But look, I'm willing to take the punishment. If they want to lock me up for my campaign, then so be it. It's not that bad. The prison system here is not, even when you had to do the slapping out, I had to do that here in Cork prison, the 5 days I did in prison. You're given a bucket going into your cell and you have to piss and shit in the bucket during the night time. And you get warned. I got warned by the dude when I was put into the cell with the dude, and he was like, "You better not shit in that bucket." Yes, I was kind of laughing at that one. I was like, I'm a morning pooper anyway, dude. So you say you're grand. But to be honest, right, the stress and the pressure that I was under inside in the prison at that time, I actually didn't shit for the 5 days. I was doing pisses and stuff like that, but I actually didn't even pass a shit inside there. My whole metabolism was just rear-ended. My mental, my mental health was really just knocked off the tracks. Took a lot to get it back on. But to hold myself together inside of there. But yeah, 5 days inside of there without passing a poop. It was it was fucking messed up, really. At least I can't remember passing a poop in there. I definitely didn't. It was messed up. It was a bad old affair. Yeah, Hype saying almost 17% of the area I live in sell, for feck's sake. There you go, 17% selling it, not just consuming it. WRT Gunner saying that there was a poll recently finding Irish people were the biggest consumers of cannabis in Europe, so I don't know where they got that 17% from. Yeah, exactly. I don't know either. Yeah, well, the 17% is coming from that, I believe. I think that was actually the number there, saying that that Ireland had the highest number of consumers in Europe, and the number was about 17%. I think France actually came in higher than us at 19%, if memory serves correct. But again, that was a couple of months ago when that came out. I think the headline misled people. I believe Ireland was in the top 3. Maybe we were in second position. But I do think France came in a little higher than us. But again, it's not a competition, guys. We came in the top 3, guys. We were on the podium, yeah. But yeah, other ways as well there. Dreamer77 that people can help the campaign. Again, is just like sharing the social medias, and getting these videos of the civil disobedience out there, share them far and wide, and having the conversations then as well with your own friends, family, as far as you can. I know the stigma might be so great there that you can't engage in those, but maybe, you know, just try to muster up the courage to engage in it, to get it going. You know, these are all your own little ways you can kind of help the campaign in your own in area and community, you know. So don't shy away from it, that's for sure. Irish Hemp Harvest says, didn't realise you were live, but I sent in a text and tweeted at them as well. Legend, Irish Hemp Harvest, nice one for that. God, sir. Love you, Martin. Love you too. A good sir. Good sir. See the extra O in there now, actually. Nice one. I appreciate the love. Good sir says, as long as cannabis is being sold by children recruited by drug gangs, this issue won't be solved until proper legislation. Yeah, I agree with you as well. Bogwan son, it's Cork, like, you know, the weather is just random. That's it, guys. Just come prepared for whatever. Bring your shorts and t-shirt, and bring your rain gear as well. Irish Hemp Harvest, what do you think about bringing tents and gazebos? Bring them, guys. I would actually recommend it. That would help with the social distancing as well a little bit, you know. A little bit. But yeah, definitely bring them. Bring a little tent, gazebo, pop them up around there, just to give you a little bit of shelter on the day. And if you want to be able to roll up then, you know, and not be showered on, definitely. Anthony Mooney, much respect and support to you, Martin. A nice one, Martin. I appreciate that. And also saying we need more of these demos held regularly and consistently. I would agree with you as well, Anthony. Yeah, definitely more regularly and consistently. I'll certainly work in that. As I said there only just a few minutes ago, I believe maybe weekly, even daily demonstrations held at the appropriate locations. That needs to be done, you know. I think we need to just continue to keep the pressure on right now if we want to see change. We can't just wait around until next year again once the winter is upon us. Kitmar says, hey Martin, how would I go about setting up something similar to this event in Limerick City? Just get a bunch of like-minded people, pick a suitable location that's easily accessible, you know, with the public service, public transport that's out there. And then just maybe get on to Irish Hemp Harvest. Irish Hemp Harvest there will help out with putting together some lovely posters, such as is on screen right now. Irish Hemp Harvest is certainly got some skills there when it comes to these graphic designs anyway, much better than myself. So I'm sure Irish Hemp Harvest would have no problem with helping out, getting a poster up for Limerick and for any other event. I do know that Irish Hemp Harvest helped out with the poster for the Kerry group. That was an amazing poster as well that he created there for the guys. I'll pop it up on screen there now as well in a couple of seconds. But yeah, just get together with a couple of like-minded people, pick the location, pick a date, and get it advertised. Engage in maybe smaller demonstrations before it, pop-up events or something like that with your own core group of friends to raise more awareness about your main event. Or just be happy enough to go with, like the guys did last Sunday, and just have a small group. If you just put it up there, a public event, you and 5 friends are going to meet up. You're going to consume your cannabis there as in a public display of civil disobedience, and encourage other people to join you. And you'll be very surprised at how many people might actually show up. I'll do my best effort to get up there. If it's on a Sunday, it might be a bit of a problem, but if you do it on a Saturday, or you know, I'm sure it'll be a lot easier there for people to get by. But yeah, definitely just organise it, build it, and they will come. And you know, just get this idea of numbers out of your head. Just hold the event, even if you get 20 people coming. Happy fucking days, like. Do you know, that's an opportunity to network with 20 like-minded people and build upon that then as well. Do you know, see you back here next week, same time. Yeah, not a bother. See you here next week, same time, and keep advertising it as a weekly meetup. Maybe going into to the winter months, you might find a community hub where you can continue your demonstration indoors. There is an idea, like, you know, and out of that then is born the Limerick Cannabis club, I suppose, if you will, a bunch of like-minded people just getting together on a weekly basis as a protest, and just consuming cannabis, having a chat, having cups of tea, whatever, just enjoying, socialising, as you should be allowed. We should be able to, again, associate with one another. Again, this is one of our fundamental human rights. And it's been denied to us, so we need to stand up for these rights. So that's how you can do it. Sorry, I got a bit of sidetracked there. I'll get up that poster there now. Shout out to the boys at the Kerry Cannabis Club. Boom, this is the poster there now. Going to come up on screen. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Kerry Cannabis Club, Cannabis Activist Alliance, in support of Medical Cannabis Council and Patients for Safe Access, presents Cannabis Reform Ireland Picnic in the Park, Killarney. And this is on Saturday the 21st of August, guys, at 2 p.m. down at Killarney National Park. So put that one in your calendars as well. Killarney is a bit more difficult to get to if you're at places like Mayo and stuff like that. The fucking public services in Ireland are atrocious, probably because they want to privatise a lot of it, but we won't get into that conversation. But yeah, definitely do put this in your calendar. Make it your best effort to get down there. I'll do my best effort to get up there as well. Going to see if I can make it an excuse for an all weekend away in Killarney. Do an overnight there in one of the lovely hotels. Maybe get one of the old fancier ones. Treat ourselves away to a nice weekend. And then go out for the protest on this Saturday. So yeah, to put that one in your calendars. But again, credit to Irish Hemp Harvest. Amazing work, absolute epic fucking poster design there. That's amazing, fair play. And the same with this one as well. The one up on screen there as well. Excellent stuff, nice one, Irish Hemp Harvest. And yeah, Irish Hemp Harvest there in the comments saying more than happy to help out anyone with posters for events. Irish Hemp Harvest is over there on Reddit as well, guys. If you're over on Reddit and you want to find them, I believe that's one place you can get in contact with them. But I also believe you have a website as well, Irish Hemp Harvest. So Irish Hemp, is it? I don't know. But pop it into the comments there if you want people to get in contact with you through your website, if you have one up and running, or if you've got some other locations you want to send people to. Pop it into the comments there and I'll direct people to you. But it's good, like see the community that we're building, like we're all looking out for one another. I'm terrible at posters. You've seen some of my posters in the past, like they're terrible. So we kind of just put this out there. We develop our community. We find people have their skills. They volunteer their time. They contribute that. But it's up to us then, each individual campaigner in their own area, then to be putting themselves out there to organise these events in order to get these communities going. Before you know it, as I say, the Limerick Cannabis protest picnic in the park turns into the Limerick Cannabis Club, if you will. A bunch of people who just hire out a hall on a weekly basis, just to go in there, or a shelter or whatever it might be, even a fucking local farmer's shed if you have to. Wherever you have to start, just don't limit yourselves. But I'm sure we'll be able to get an inside premises for the protests. Yeah, definitely start small and it'll get bigger after that, who knows. Kitmer says, would honestly be a dream to have a cannabis club in Limerick City. That's it, like we need our safe space. One place I'd like to just pop it up on thing there, link.ie. So I'm aware of this group, and I'll pop them up on screen here. So link.ie, okay, this is a place here in Cork, where it's lesbians in Cork, and it's a safe space. It's a place where they can meet up with like-minded people. It's working exclusively with lesbian and bisexual women in Republic of Ireland. But some of the services here that they have then, like in Cork, this is, and they're located down off of Douglas Street. I was aware of their group for many years. I used to work in Deep Root Garden just around the corner from them. But I was always intrigued, but I was like, that's really cool, where these activists, these campaigners can meet up. And this is how they do it, they kind of have drop-ins in there on Tuesday between 11 and 3 p.m. and Wednesdays 11 to 3 p.m. Thursdays then they do a nighttime service. And then it says, please feel free to call in for a cuppa, a chat, meet a friend, or just to read a book or use the Wi-Fi. Do you know, that's really cool. I would love to replicate this kind of a service for the cannabis community as well. We need our safe space. And from this, then they developed, you know, they have soccer meetups, you know, through that. You know, there was a few people in there and said, oh, would you like to meet up for soccer? Oh, yeah, great. Monday night, 7 o'clock, Glen Resource Centre. Well, let's meet up for a game of soccer. We could do the exact same thing around all sort of other attractions like they do here. Walking, drama, badminton. You know, they even have lunch bunch. Every Wednesday between 12 and 2:30 inside and Link, a light, healthy lunch is provided to the people who attend the service. You know, this is what we need. I'd love to be able to create this kind of a service in a community for our community, because we are certainly in need of it. We really need this kind of a thing, you know. And they've even got boxing in there. I can take lead on that, guys. We'll have a fucking cannabis friendly Thai boxing sessions on you know, on the appropriate day at the appropriate time for people. You know, adventure club, that sounds really fun. On a Saturday or Sunday every 2 months we go on a new adventure. It's a great way to meet people and have a load of fun. Like, we need this, guys. I believe we need this anyway, you know. So I'm just inspired again by the gay community, like that, you know. And this is just one service that's here in Cork for them, and we need to replicate these kind of services for ourselves. So if there's, like, you know, I'm trying to find a location. I believe there's 1 or 2 spots up in Shandon Street that I'm looking at there, and hopefully they might fit the bill. But we need this, guys. We need to start organising ourselves. And again, you know, these protests, these meetups, it doesn't even need to be a meetup in the park where you smoke cannabis. It could be like, let's meet up and go on a hike in the woods. You know, we're going to meet up in Limerick at this local woods, and we're going to have an all hoop beforehand. But you can't be public about that then as well, I suppose, if you're going to be driving afterwards. Jeez, me coffee's stone cold. But guys, I take a lot of inspiration from the campaign of the gay community beforehand, and yeah, I definitely think we need to set up these community centres inside in all our own local areas. Not just Cork needs this, you know. We need I don't know what you call it, a kink. Cannabis in Cork. No, definitely not going with kink. But you know what I mean. We need a service like that. Replicate that with just substituting the lesbian and bisexual for cannabis consumers, and boom, hey presto, we got a service there. I'm not alone in this, guys. I'm sure many of you think this is a good idea as well, and would love to have a community centre where we can all kind of meet up and just shoot the breeze, get to meet new people as well. Not everybody is online. You put this into the community there, you'll have somebody walk in off the street who's never heard of Martin's World, who's never heard of any of the protests, because they're just not online, you know. Skatana says, well, I missed the bleeding stream, but goddamn, that Newstalk thing was frustrating. Yeah, I thought overall it was very good. There was overall, yeah, the balance was towards the outweighed positive there than a negative, you know. Even the negative there, Katie, like, was still in support of cannabis reform in Ireland, to be fair. She was just against this particular protest, but she was still in support of it. So, and even Chris Luke didn't argue against legalization. No, he just came on to say, yes, cannabis causes harms. But, like, again, I kind of came on and before I got cut off and said, yeah, I'm not disputing that. I don't say that cannabis doesn't cause harm. In fact, actually, through regulation, we could mitigate some of the harms caused by cannabis by allowing people to get genetic testing. That was the point I was trying to make at that point when I got cut off. But what can you do? Google deleted that message. What? And Podge says he deleted his Google account. Okay, I'm not too sure what's going on there with the chat. Missing out in the earlier part of your conversation. WRT Gunner saying, it's brilliant the way the Irish cannabis community are there for each other. So much respect for you all. That's it, guys. We have to be there for each other. I'm only one person. I'm just trying to start the conversation here. I do know that there's many other people out there who are much more well spoken than myself on this, and they've been around for much longer as well. But we need to be more outspoken now, and we need to be getting more people out into the light. So I definitely welcome more people to get out there and get this going in their local area too. And I'd certainly support Ian doing that too. Anthony Mooney, private social club model seems most likely in the short term at least. Yeah, as I say, a ground-up approach is the way forward. Not-for-profit, collectives, social clubs, call them what you will. I believe that's the best way forward. Again, to take a leaf out of the book of Vincent Lavery, a great campaigner around for many years, and I hope to catch up with him. I'll do my best effort to actually sit down with him soon and get him on camera to have a chat with him. But to take the money out of it, take the money out of drugs. I believe that needs to happen in all drugs, not just cannabis, but for all drugs, alcohol and tobacco included. I believe there's just there's too much money there in it for some of the big companies and all of that. The advertising, that you're allowed to advertise Budweiser on YouTube and bus stops and all of these inappropriate places. This is a drug, guys. Why are we allowing the advertising of it? I welcome that conversation around taking the money out of drugs, taking away the advertising of drugs, and having community-led drug production models. Where the drive is a kind of a not-for-profit drive, and the money is taking out of it. Then, R420 Supplies would love to organise or join a walk or hike with the community. Oh, nice. I would appreciate that as well. I'd certainly like to come up there and do that as well. You're up in a fine part of the country as well for it. So definitely keep me informed. Let me know as to the date or whatever, or let's shoot the breeze there together and we'll organise one that suits two of us, and we go from there then as well. But Sundays is always family day for me. But look, a hike is certainly on the list of things that I do with my family, although herself being pregnant now at the moment, the difficulty of the hike could be a problem. So that is something that's an issue. But yeah, family days used to always include hikes before. The family didn't like it sometimes. Certainly the girls would give out about the difficulty. At least the older teenager was anyway. She was like, oh, do we have that? Oh my God, are we going climbing a hill again? Can we do anything but that? Yeah, look forward to getting back into that now once the new baby is born. I'll get the old chest strap there and carry the baby up to the top of the hills. No excuses for the rest of them then. Maybe next year then we'll have the Condon family up and the Ireland's fittest family. Skatana says, yeah, that was a good one, but FML, he was like, we need to follow the science, while he's veering off into anti-science prohibitionist commentary. There you go, like that's it. They don't see the what would you say, the irony in what they're actually saying. That they're saying follow the science, and then they actually go on to go against the science. All the science says prohibition is failing. Regulation is the best way to mitigate the harms that they keep on bringing up in support of their prohibition. It's like, no, these harms are actually exacerbated because of prohibition. We take away prohibition, we can reduce these harms. We can reduce that 10% that Chris Luke talked about. I believe we could get that down to less than 1%, actually. I would believe, but maybe I'm a bit biased in that. Martin's World, his message was deleted, said by Google mod team. Fair enough. Nice one for that hype. Clearly he hasn't been studying the same cannabis research that Russell Banta has been of late. There you go, like Dr. Russell out there, Dr. Russell Banta certainly is up to date on some of the latest research in cannabis. I do know that Russell has been wanting to maybe do some papers, maybe publish some stuff. So I look forward to seeing some stuff there from Russell in the future. Connor S says, maybe you're not meant to mention links to other platform or something, kind of spam tool maybe. Yeah, that could happen as well. They do have these bots out there that delete comments. Our butter, coconut oil, lion's mane mushroom, cacao and maca. Oh, it's a lovely blend. Gotta get those mushrooms into you on the daily. We got some magic mushroom in there as well, but only a microdose. Lion's mane and psilocybin, it's a great old combination. ONF, Google monitoring Martin. The fact that I'm a threat goes to show that I'm certainly heading down the right path, that what I'm doing is the right thing anyway. I'm getting their attention. And Hype says, the first time I've seen a message be deleted by someone outside of the stream. Interesting. Yeah, that's right. Like I would often see links coming in to like some of these cam chats, the cam girls, and they never get deleted. But you put in some of these other links there then, and they're like, oh no, coming in. What are you doing? I would love to get Dr. Carl Hart on. I'll follow up with another email with Dr. Carl Hart. I got to meet him. I got to party with him actually. I had a very fun night out in Liverpool with Dr. Carl Hart. He likes the old Guinness. He liked the black stuff. But yeah, we definitely had a good old chat that night. He didn't want to have a smoke with me. I brought over a few joints to Liverpool with me that time, but he didn't want to have a smoke that evening at all. While he was on the pints, he said he didn't like to mix his drugs, and I suppose coming from a scientist, fair play to him for that. I wasn't really on the pints that night. I believe I had a cider, and then I was on the cordials. I like to keep my drink consumption very limited, but I was certainly getting out for a smoke in between the pubs. Liverpool has got some great pubs over there. But yeah, I'll definitely try to get Dr. Carl Hart on. I'd love to be able to have a chat with him just about all things drugs, pick his brain more, just find out more about his own drug consumption, because I'm always curious as to the effect of drugs, you know. I'd love to be able to consume more psychedelics in more controlled environments, but just because of the lack of controlled environments, my consumption of psychedelics is it's rather limited, although I say a microdose, you know, but I would like to be able to take macrodoses, but in more controlled settings, you know, if you get me. I don't like some of the current services that are out there at the moment, you know, these spiritual retreats that are there at the moment around Ireland. I think some of them are, again, you know, very profit orientated, although delivering a great service. I've heard very mixed opinions on some of them that are out there. Get in touch with me if you're going down with one of those services. I'll let you know if it's one of the ones I've heard poor reports about. But again, you know, traveling over to the origin, going to Mexico if you want to do mushrooms, going to maybe South America there for ayahuasca, into is it Peru, into the Amazon and stuff, Brazil. Definitely there's more ayahuascaros over there, so do your research. There's lots of good reports online as to the ones to go, but some of the ones carrying out some of the ceremonies around the UK and Ireland at the moment, be careful. There's very underqualified people carrying out these services. They're not trained in the way in that you would like them to be trained. They don't have the medical professionals on hand like you would like them to have. Just be careful, you know, on that. Again, you know, just coming from my own background, you know, herbal scientist, I definitely do see the controlled setting around the consumption of psychedelics as an incredibly important thing that needs to be checked. Again, you know, being out in the field with people taking some mushrooms is all grand, you know, but again, mega doses, when you're looking for the therapeutic effects, controlled settings, it's where it's at. Nice comfy couch, eye pillows. That's what I'd like to be doing. Going deep then, taking the 20 grams. Licking the frog. So that is their hype. Okay, wall paintings, the emojis, you know. Lick the frog, boo for welfare, that's yummy. Skatanist, Martin's World, come up here. My living room is a trip cave and I'm working on becoming a guide. See, there you go, Skatanist. Like, I'd definitely like to be able to go up there now with yourself, sit down, do a nice dose of, a proper dose of psychedelics, but be monitored by somebody I can trust. That's one of the more important things, really, is that you're being monitored by somebody you can trust. And if I was able to do that, then I certainly would be able to enjoy, experience these psychedelics in a much more positive way. If I'm at all worried, if I don't trust you, if I don't know you, and if I'm thinking, hey, I just gave this guy like fucking a pile of money, and he, like, what qualification has he got? What training has he got? Like, what's his interest here? That's not the best mindset to be going off into a trip then at that point, you know. And setting are very important. The mindset and the setting. So yeah, I would certainly trust yourself, Skatanist. And yeah, I would imagine your living room is going to be quite a lovely place there as well to do some psychedelics. I can bring my own psychedelics with me, and I would be more than happy to share some then as well, and sit for yourself afterwards too. Yeah, I've certainly done some background work there on trip sitting. That would be the one. You know, I would love to be able to do that for yourself then in return. Sorry guys, my nose is getting very itchy there. Bloody hairy nose. Hairs are tickling me. Skatanist, please respect the origin of ayahuasca. If you go to Latin America, make sure to go to indigenous owned retreats. Yeah, I would agree with you there as well. I would certainly be one for that. Indigenous owned retreats would be the way to go for the ayahuasqueros, but just do your research online. Learn about who you're going to, get reports from multiple sources. Don't just go to one resource for reports, you know, or for reviews of ayahuasqueros. Go to multiple resources. Amber Lyon is one good person to go check up. She has reset.me, I believe, is a good website to go, and she's got some good reviews up there of different ayahuasqueros. So again, that's only one resource to use, guys, but use multiple. But she's a good trusted one. She has a good interview as well with Joe Rogan in the past. That's where I first heard of her, but she's done some really good work up there on reset.me. It's a really good resource as well for some of the studies and the psychedelic kind of science orientated work there that's going out. So it's a really good resource. That's reset.me. I think that's still up online. It's been a while now since I visited it. Otherwise, Erowid. You can't go wrong with Erowid. Erowid.org. That's the fucking the mecca. That's the holy grail for resources when it comes to psychedelic trip reports and all of that stuff. Then you got the DMT Nexus. You know, these are all kind of peer-to-peer things. You got Shroomery as well as another very good resource. Again, Shroomery, mushrooms, DMT Nexus, DMT. You know, but there's others out there. Russell Banta, I've never had anything other than smoking cannabis, so your mega brownie will be the first, Martin. Yes. R420 Supplies says, just copped a message request on Twitter from this morning asking me to be on the show today. Raging, you missed it. Balls, R420. There'll be more opportunities though, definitely. I'm sure they had a load of people lined up, and they probably didn't get around to everybody that they even offered that opportunity to talk to. Skatanist, thank you for the trust, Martin. Not a bother at all, Skatanist. Russell Banta, R420 Supplies, your lighter nearly took off my eyebrows again yesterday. R420 those big lighters there, by getting a few reviews there, they can backfire a little bit. That was the Zippo ones, yeah, those orange ones with the sticker on it, I think it was. R420 says, Russell, I think I may go in the bin before you're bald. Just keep it for the bong hits, you know, or you know, just keep the head tilted. You know, harm reduction information there. Just tilt the head. R420, Bogwan's son, a young Jamie, in a good way. I like, it's a good thing. Skitanis says, Sanking a nete. So Senken, Nete, just north of Pucallpa, is a good retreat. Mastra Elisa is an angel. Maestra, I think that's how it's pronounced. Maestra Elisa is an angel. So that's a recommendation coming in there from Skitanis to check out. So that popped up in the comments there a couple of seconds ago over on YouTube. Russell Banta as well, saying R420 supplies. You think I'd learn my lesson? WRT saying, Martin, have you got any name ideas for the Cannabis Hub Cafe yet, mate? I think the community could come up with some good ideas. I was thinking calling it Best Buds. I was thinking that as a name. Best Buds. I think it ticks a lot of boxes. I think Best Buds Cafe, Cannabis Community Hub, maybe, you know, and go from there. I think that's a good name. I don't know, play a name there as well. You know, if we get into if we start stocking some CBD buds in there for people, for, you know, we get supplied by some of the local suppliers. I'm sure we might be able to keep it as a self-sufficient service then there. That yeah, Best Buds sounds great, Teresa says. And it's ticking at multiple boxes there because, you know, there's the social avenue. Do you know what I mean? We want to meet our best buds down there as well as get our best buds from it. Buddy McBudface. I think McDonald's will be on to us if we go with the Mac one. But I love it, Buddy McBudface. Yeah, Skatana says, God, I love Best Buds. DB Woodcraft McBuds, Buds and Bakes. Nice, some good names coming in there, guys. Get them registered quick if you got any attachment to them, because they're out there now. People have heard them. Some people might get there before you. Hype says, did you review the hashish at Martin's World? No, not yet. I haven't yet, but soon. Russell Banta says, man, it's like I got a little sparkler with me. It's great. Teresa says, there should be a screw to adjust the Zippo when you take it out of the casing. So there you go. Teresa is well versed on the Zippos. It seems. Oh no, that's the Zippo. Teresa was the. This is a clipper. If that makes any difference, maybe. The Zippo, I suppose, is the thing you pop into it there that you're saying. So yeah, look out for that, guys. If there's a screw on it, apparently, I'll have to look at that one myself. Right, I'm gonna have to bounce in a second, guys. But Russell Banta says there is a grill in Cork called Grilly McGrillface. Is there? I didn't know that. You would think with a name like that everybody would know about it, but maybe it's only new. Is it Grilly McGrillface? I think I might have passed it actually. But yeah, that's actually a good name, in fairness, for a grill place. Yeah, that's it. It's after the boat in the UK. That's it. They wanted the boat to be named online, and they wanted the boat to be called Bodie McBoatface. It's a fucking great name for a boat, in fairness. Like, they should have called it Bodie McBoatface. I don't even know what they went with afterwards. Like, there you go. That's how good that name was that they chose afterwards. But yeah, Bodie McBoatface. But they didn't go with it. They went with like number 2, the runner-up, didn't they? I believe, if memory serves correct. Bhagwan son, that's what happens when you let the public have choice. Skatana says, we set up an autonomously run regional Best Buds cafe, autonomously, jeez, my fucking reading there has gone to the dogs. We can set up autonomously run regional Best Buds cafes, make it a franchise, but without being a franchise. There you go, like, that's it. Just nobody sue anybody else for using the name, and run it using the same business model. You know, where it's kind of not for profit. You get a wage or whatever for the time that you put in for running it. But outside of that, like, that it's a not for profit, and any of the money that's generated goes back into it to run some of the events there, you know, to maybe rent out the soccer pitch, to help maybe hire out a bus to get people to the different venues that we might hold events at, gatherings, social gatherings at, protests as well. Yes, protests. I shouldn't have even used air quotes there as well, but like, you know, these events, gatherings of our community, I'm sure there's going to be cannabis consumed at it. So yes, these gatherings are protests. In doing so, you know, even the opening of the shop in itself is going to be a protest as well. So yeah, definitely we have to do it. And Buddy McBudface could be the name of the club. They named the lifeboat after it. That's right. Yeah. It was consolation prize. The lifeboat. Yeah, we named the lifeboat. Like, yeah. CBD, coffee, bud, DMT. Coming in from Hype. Yeah, that's not bad either. I wouldn't mind being able to offer a service of DMT there to people. That would be really nice. Skatanist getting in there as well, saying Best Buds Dublin, Best Buds Cork. It's like the Hard Rock Cafe but for weed. There you go, but for cannabis. Weed is an unwanted plant in your garden, guys. Come on, let's call it cannabis. Let's be all posh about it, and when we drink our coffee, let's keep our pinky held high. Oh, we get it in there, pinky held high. Cannabis. It's cannabis, not weed. Because technically a weed, when you're coming at it from the botanist sense, it's an unwanted plant in a garden. A gardener to a gardener, a weed is an unwanted plant in a garden. And cannabis is certainly not that. I want cannabis in my garden. So let's not call it weed. Let's call it cannabis. Let's call it cannabis loud and proud. What do we want? Cannabis reform in Ireland. When do we want it? Fucking yesterday. Nice stream today, nice surprise stream today, really good exposure on the radio, brilliant work again, nice one WRT, yeah, really enjoyed it guys. I'm going to sign off there now guys, because we have a hospital appointment there that I have to go to, nothing serious, just some follow-up stuff there for the kids, but yeah, daddy duties, so we'll sign off and we'll be back tomorrow guys, so 4:20 news tomorrow, look forward to it. Again, get in contact, guys. If some more people want to pop on and share their own experiences with the law, get in touch with me, guys. Drop me a message by Facebook, Instagram, even by email there, or WhatsApp, whatever. Text me with the number. The number is up on screen there now. Boom. There we go. Pop me a text there through that number if you want. And we can get have a chat on air tomorrow through the 4:20 news. I'd like to just change it up a little bit. And again, if you have anything at all, positive, negative, to share about cannabis, if it helps you with your conditions, get in touch. Have a call in, like, you know. If you want to, you know, express your support for the campaign, if you're a patient out there, just give a shout. I'd love to have you on. Even if you want to send some voice notes, you know, record a voice note on your phone, email it to Martin's World at martinsworldpodcast@gmail.com, and I'll feature those on the news then as well tomorrow, but get them in there before 12 o'clock tomorrow so I can have them lined up for the show. So yeah guys, that's it for me today. I'll be back tomorrow 4:20, so stay blazed out there guys and keep her lit. Much love and respect to you all guys. Thanks for all of the comments, support and shares there today. I'll be back tomorrow anyway, so peace.